Продовжуємо роботу в українському.
Continue work in the Ukrainian Crisis Media Center, and we will discuss Travel Camp of Peace, a camp for children who suffered from the war in Donbas. We will have Vadym Shabalin, project coordinator and NTO participant, Larisa Artyuhina, Dmitro Rechkovsky. Then by Skype we will have Susanna Anhelova, project psychologist, and Ivan Paramonov, methodologist. And also we have the secretary from Lithuanian embassy. Good afternoon. We are very happy to use this opportunity to speak publicly and to present this project. I think this will be another unique project which we are launching now. This summer, we plan to extend our traditional activity, which we have been doing for almost 4 years now. During all those 3 and more years, we try to adapt to peaceful life. Children that suffered from war or experienced some war realities. That is, those children who were involved in hostilities. These are children from gray area, children from IDP families, and children of the ATO participants. It is not so easy to speak with children about war, and usually neither parents nor teachers speak with children about war. Not so often, but sometimes this happens, but usually these are very tough talks. And for example, yesterday we discussed this with children, and the children said, do not try to disguise something or soften something, just say what it is. That's why I think this will be very interesting project, Travel Camp of Peace. We will speak with children about war and peace. In order to speak about peace, we should understand the war, the nature of war, how it appears, how it develops, and this would allow us to overcome this psychological trauma. In our previous projects, we taught children how to make a movie. One girl, during our conversation, asked a question: why does the war appear? Quite often children just hear what their parents say or what their fellows say, classmates or friends in the street, but quite often they just repeat opinion of other people but not their own. That's why we try to teach children how to think themselves, how to identify the realities themselves. Bigger part of Ukraine lives without war and does not like the war, if to put it in the language of children. So we decided to bring children to some locations which reveal the nature of peace and war. we were thinking how to bring children to this atmosphere of war and peace, of history, of old history, the past times, on the one hand, and to create a very friendly atmosphere of the night fires and friendly relations on the other hand. Now I would like to thank to those people who understand the importance of our project. This is the Embassy of Lithuania in Ukraine, and this is Lithuania Development Corporation. We are very happy that Mrs. Stina just arrived to Ukraine, and today you are attending this press conference. I think this is a very interesting situations when you Lithuanian people actually have an option to provide Ukrainian children with some support, some resources to allow Ukrainian children to see peaceful childhood, at least some period of this peaceful childhood, on the account of your taxpayers. And in Luhansk and Donetsk, we said to our local administration the same. We are Ukrainians. We also pay taxes, but and we also wish to make our children happy and joyful, but we can not organize such a process to push our government to allocate money for Ukrainian children. Thus, it appears that we cannot comply with all those bureaucratic requirements, and Ukrainian people who pay taxes, they cannot see this money to work for children, while Lithuanian citizens who pay taxes, they can do this, physically can do this. So later I will ask you the question, why do you support us? But as of the moment, before doing this, I would like to describe what we are doing. Before giving the floor to Vadym Shabalin, I would like to present him shortly. We decided to engage Vadym to this project. Vadym used to be a volunteer in Donbas. He knows what the war is. He participated in hostilities near Shirokine village, and now he decided to be involved into this work with children. I think this is the right person to communicate with children. I'm happy that Vadym joined our project. And will you please describe our children? What do you do with them? How we selected them, etc. Good afternoon. I'm Vadym. I participated in the anti-terrorist operation in the east of Ukraine as a volunteer. In first turn, I would like to thank to the government of Lithuania and to Lithuanian embassy in Ukraine for your support. Unfortunately, we cannot find such support in Ukraine, and we are very grateful to you. I also would like to thank to all the participants who filled in our applications this year. We have got 309 applications. Unfortunately, we have only 26 opportunities for children, and for those who were not accepted for participation in our travel camp, I would like to encourage you to participate next year, and I think that you will get the priority attention next year. We have selected, as I mentioned, 26 participants of the project, and the procedure was very complicated. It was not so easy. There was a group of 5 experts. We developed criteria of development. Tell about the regions represented by our children. We have invited and selected children from along the entire contact line from Mariupol in the south to Lugansk in the north, and actually they were evenly spread along the contact line. We also have children from the ATO participants. Almost all of those children are IDPs. There are some kids whose parents were killed in the anti-terrorist operation or in result of combat activities. We have one girl who lost both her father and mother. I will describe why we called it travel camp. I would invite Ihor to speak via Skype. He is a historian by background. Maybe he will tell a couple of words why we are called travel camp and the historical component, which we'll discuss. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Can you hear me? Thank you. As other experts, other members of this jury, which had to select the project participants, I also read the applications, and I felt moved in many cases when children wrote that they did not know their country. They never saw Ukraine in reality otherwise than in pictures. They would like to admire this country personally. They would like to see landscapes of this country, not in the pictures, but in reality. Thus, we came across the idea of travel camp and the diversity camp. We would like to show diverse and big Ukraine and to demonstrate how that diversity can result in unity. I maintained correspondence with one of our participants who last year attended our last year summer camp devoted to making movies, and we discussed that case when presidents of both countries, Ukraine and Russia, tried to appropriate Princess Anna of France, and she confessed me, that girl, that I do not know who is Anna Yaroslavna of France, and we revealed that this was omitted from the school course of history because when they had to study about Ukrainian history and Princess Anna, there were intensive shellings. They were hiding in the shelters, and thus I revealed that due to the war, due to the hostilities, that children were deprived from not only of schooling, but also from very important experience of humanity, which could be acquired through lessons of history. And this now this ambition does not allow children to compare our today's realities with realities of other countries. I think this deprives children from important experience, and that is what we try to restore in our travel camp. The war situation in Ukraine is unique. That is what we know. But I think to some extent it is typical situation. What is typical in Ukrainian situation? We will try to demonstrate this to children. We will travel with children from Prikapatsia, from Ivano-Frankivsk region. Then we will travel from Ivano-Frankivsk to the Black Sea. And on this our way, on this our path, we will attend Khatyn Fortress, Belgorod-Dnestrovsky Fortress, not just like interesting sites, but is places where we can see how different nations and civilizations interacted. We will see Khatyn, where famous Khatyn battle between Rzeczpospolita, Turkey, and Ukrainian Cossacks was in the 16th century. That battle actually was reflected the conflict of civilizations. This was a conflict between Poland, Turkey, and Ukrainian lands, while now these three nations live in peace. And thus we would like to demonstrate to children that all the wars finish someday, but they finish on that very day when nations agree to comply with some rules. I will finish with the idea that, with the statement that we will not present to children some stories like teachers. We won't be traditional teachers. We will provoke children for questions, for thoughts, for ideas. We will teach children how to be courageous enough to think and to discuss things. I think this is a very important skill which could be taught based on the historical material. So understood that we try to show multicultural nature of Ukraine on the example of the nations, of the ethnic groups which do not fight between each other. We understand that children which we will bring together and whom we will take to all those places, these are children with some sort of trauma. That's why we engaged Susanna, our psychologist. Would you please add a couple of words in your part? Good afternoon. My name is Susanna. You mentioned about selection procedure. We received a lot of applications and understood that the demand was huge. And We understood that we had to engage the most proactive children. Unfortunately, we almost cannot hear her. There is a problem with the sound. We selected those children which potentially could become leaders in their communities, because we do not provide a recreational camp. We offer quite intensive program to children. From the psychological point of view, the self-identity of a person is very important. That's why we try to extend this self-identification of children to bring the children to the idea that they belong not to the community of very small village, but that they can identify themselves with the humanity, with human beings. I think this cultural and psychological education would allow us to develop critical thinking in children. In order to do this, we have developed a strategy. The strategy, how it was described by Igor, we will offer questions and think together about those questions or issues. We won't have lectures. We will have plays, games, and discussions and workshops. Even excursions and sightseeing tours will be held in a form of workshops. We will quite often mix children together in organize them in different groups, allow each child to be a person, to be a leader in your group, and try to set different tasks to different participants of the group. And of course, we will bring in purely peace making or peacemaking practices, peacemaking communication, ability to listen, ability to hear, ability to analyze a conflict, and to develop a strategy how to settle this conflict before the conflict goes into the hot phase. We will explain or demonstrate to children that conflicts in general are natural, but the conflicts should not turn into aggression and into a situation when you can offend people or make harm to other people. Also, we will provide some time for children to work with a psychologist individually. Thank you, Susanna. Our idea is as follows. When a teenager for the first time is brought to Pre-Carpathian Mountains, but later to the Black Sea shore near Odessa, of course, this will result, I think, in the outburst of emotions. That's why we will deliver master classes in photo and video making, and we will teach children how to transform their emotions into a documentary, into making photos, into making video stories. I think this will be unique camp. We will make it for the first time. Trying to understand how to transform pain into creativity and into the peacemaking. We would like to teach children how to cooperate, understanding the nature of war and peace, understanding how to overcome conflicts would allow Ukraine to move forward in solution of its conflict. Of course, we would like to take more children. 26 children out of more than 300. That's not too much. While I think all children deserve this. I would like to represent our partners, NGO Gurtom, together. We have Dmytro Dyczkowski and Yura Vlasenka. So we applied to them, and our partners demonstrated to us how to find funding in transparent way. Yuri, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I would like to give the floor to the founder and director of Gurtom Group, who is now via Skype. Good afternoon. Yuri Vlasenko. Good afternoon. I'm the director of Gurtom Foundation. We help communities to self-organize. The Revolution of Dignity shown that we can do everything if we get united. And our group is a group of volunteers, and we believe that we can do a lot together. And there should be trust to projects and people. And this will bring transparency and to show that volunteers are really active. And the Gurtom Foundation.org site, it provides information about the project. There is also crowdfunding and reports on the project. So if people share their values, the values of freedom and aspirations to happiness, so you can also find the information about funding, and the GEM system supports our data. You can get information. You can store it in your gadgets, and you can spend it for your projects. You can get reports on the use of funds and the information about volunteers. And Gurtom Foundation.org is the site you can join. So we enter the site that is called Gurtom, and we see a Travel Camp of Peace project. So please tell us about the uniqueness of this platform and how it differs from other platforms. So this platform helps people to carry out Prozoro projects. If you look at other platforms, so funds are gathered for the projects, and the project can use this money, and there is no control and transparency how the money is used, and also there is no information about the work and volunteers. But in our system, we use ohms as the units of measurement. They are distributed through the projects, and you can follow where money goes to buy some material valuables or for the work of volunteers, so it is easy to create reports through the system. So our system, Gurtom, really helps people to invest money in the projects and to transparently see the use of this money. So we hope that this system will be widely used in Ukraine and not only in Ukraine. So we only start our project. The Travel Camp of Peace is the first project in our platform, and we hope that more and more projects will use our platform, and we will be able to help volunteers, those people who carry out good projects, to collect funds not only in Ukraine but also elsewhere. So all the system, it is original. It is developed by the team headed by Yuri. I want to thank you for this wonderful volunteer work. So this work was done on a volunteer basis to help Ukrainian children, to help them to grow up as the citizens of their country. Now I give the floor to Justina, and she came to Ukraine recently, and I have a question. Why Lithuanians support Ukraine? Why do they do it? Why the embassy supports small Ukrainians and support our organization?
First of all, thank you so much for the possibility to be here today, and mostly I would like to appreciate you and your team for the whole achievements you already made, and thank you for the organizers. Thank you for all the volunteers, teachers, and kids we saw today for their active participation and your interest in Lithuanian Development Cooperation Program. And for us, the partnership and friendship with Ukraine is of the most importance. And we value your dedication. We value our common activities, our common approaches, our joint efforts for the benefit of the local communities, of those who most need it. Thank you for this. Thank you for your efforts.
Thank you. Дякуємо вам. Дякуємо.
Thank you very much, and we wait for questions from our colleagues who are in this hall. And all those Ukrainians who are not only in Kiev but elsewhere, we ask to support our project, please, and Gurtom site, our program, and if each Ukrainian would provide 1 or 5 hryvnias, we will be able to give a month of happiness, a month of change to every child in the east of Ukraine. So please, dear colleagues, introduce yourself and ask questions. Sergei Malerchuk, Ukraine Crisis Media Center. Laura, tell us, please, in what way you're going to use this wonderful idea? I mean, video blogs and these photos of the contests. What is the future fate? So you mean photographs, videos that you created in your camp? What could you please tell us about this segment? But we didn't have a camp. We plan to carry out such activities. We hope to have it. So we will create a documentary about war and peace in understanding of our children from the east of Ukraine. We want that this film was of interest not only to Ukrainians, but to people in different countries. And I have a feeling, as an initiator and organizer, that today the topic of war and peace, it is not a local topic. We believe that we should speak about it in different languages, with different communities, with different attitudes. So what is going on in the world is understanding and civilizational choice. As adults, we understand it, but how our children will understand it, in what way they want to live, and why wars appear on the planet that develops. And if we have these answers from children, there is hope that we won't have wars in the future, or at least that we will have a smaller number of military actions. And if we are speaking about super task, so this is philosophic understanding, of course, through creativity of children, and it is really difficult, but I believe that we should try. So we hope that we will create this film. We will present this film during festivals, and there will be an open access in order that adults and children be able to see and discuss the film. And our goal is not just to create the film, not only film for the sake of film, art for the sake of art, but film as a start of discussion, a documentary, in order that people see and discuss and make changes. Alexandra, I have a question about difficulties. Maybe it was difficult to agree with parents of children whom you selected, and about statistics about boys and girls and the age of these children. Because children, they should properly communicate among themselves, because they interact not only with adults but also with other children. Please. We didn't have such problems. Only one mother refused to send her child to a camp, and there were no other difficulties. And age group is from 12 to 17 years. So on average, these are we have 8 boys and 18 girls. So we selected the forms, and we had only answers. We didn't know who they were. So the jury made the decision, but the girls, they were more active. That's why there are more girls than boys, and this is a normal situation. And whether parents leave their children to allow them to go to these camps, so those children we work with, we didn't have any problems. Parents, they call and write me, and they ask to take their children to this camp. So we worked in the frontline area. We were there. We support children there. So there were no difficulties in this. In 2014, when we went there, people were cautious, and now there is love and trust, and people phone me, and they know that everything will be okay in the camp. So people address and ask to take their children to this camp, but we only have 26 places in this camp for children. That's why this is so. So we ask everyone who is present here, please buy at least one Om, and we ask to buy these Oms, and this will help children, and these children will change. They change really quickly. They are really grateful, and if you contribute 5 or 10 hryvnias, it can help to change the future of a child. That's why we ask for your support, and we thank you for this opportunity to speak openly about all this, and we guarantee that all hryvnias that you will provide, all of this process will be transparent. You will see what child will be provided with this money. So please, Ukrainians, participate. So we wish you all success, and we hope that people will contribute to your project. Thank you.